Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, I've been sitting on the front porch and I have been doing all kinds of things. I follow this YouTube channel called The Paris Ballroom, and it's like, you know, the underground ballrooms of like Paris is Burning and Pose and things like that, but it's current. And it has like all of these current balls, and I just sit there and I just watch one after the other. I completely get upset. I've like fallen down the rabbit hole in the last like month of watching these. So I was watching this one tonight, and then like I got out of that and I was like, oh yeah, Tana Mongeau's MTV reality show came on today. Is it already out of focus? Oh, are you kidding me? Come on now. I'm not going to turn it off and turn it back on so soon into the thing. Hold on a second here. Let's see if I can fix this. What is it doing? Why is it doing that? There, it's better now, isn't it? Is it better? Yeah. Okay. So, I like Googled to see like how to play it or whatever, if it was on MTV or where, and it's actually on YouTube's MTV channel, and the episode is only like 15 minutes long, so I watched it. It's actually not too bad. Of course, it's called like Tana Turns 21 Unedited or something like that. It's very scripted. You can tell it's very scripted. It was kind of a dulled down version of Tana Mongeau, but I have to say, like, whereas I think her friends are not super exciting to watch, like in her videos, on the episode of the show, like her friends were kind of what made the show, and her manager, so that was kind of interesting. But anyway, I might do a reaction video to that tomorrow, I don't know. We'll see. And yeah, then I was just like sitting there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go vlog now, and it is 1:57 a.m. I had a really great day today. I have to tell you guys about my dream that I had tonight, because especially if you watch my vlog from yesterday, which you probably should if you want to hear me talk about my dream that I had tonight, because I talked at length about my nightmare that I had last night. And so tonight I want to talk about a dream that I had. But anyway, had a good day. I'm trying to think of what I did today. Oh, I got up this morning, I took Pee-Pee's urine to the vet, got his first urine in the morning, and then I drove that straight to the vet, and then I came back, and I went to bed for a couple hours, and then I got up, and I was, like, I had this sobriety thing I was supposed to do this afternoon that I was meeting up with some people, and it was supposed to be at 4 o'clock, and I was like, well, I'm just going to film some videos now, and then afterwards I can just, like, you know, hang out with Alex or whatever, or do whatever, and just relax. It was such a beautiful day, and it was warm, but it was a little bit cooler than it usually is. It was probably like upper 70s, low 80s, and so I just kind of enjoyed sitting around the house and making videos. Like, we bring the cushions in now if it's gonna rain. So I put the cushions out on the patio furniture, and then I, like, watered the plants and made it real nice out there. I actually did my Peterisms video outside. And then, let's see, what else did I do? Filmed some videos. Oh, and then I had, like, filmed my second video, and my friend contacted me and was like, I can't do today, so can we, like, change when we're gonna do it? And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine, which meant that I, like, had the afternoon to just kind of, like, do what I wanted to do. So I filmed videos for all of my channels, and got those done. And I kept on meaning to, like, leave and go get coffee, and I made coffee in the Keurig today, and I never ended up going and getting coffee. Like, I never left to go get coffee. And, which, whatever, that's fine, you know, but that's just kind of like my morning ritual that I usually do, and I didn't do it today, so. But I wanted to finish Girls Incarcerated tonight, and I just got so tired. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Like, I was sitting outside today. Oh, so I got done with all of my videos, and I was like gonna go to the post office, and then I was gonna go run some errands, and it was at that point like 6:30. Alex had texted me at like 6, and he was getting off work, and he asked me if I wanted to go eat with him and a friend of his. They were going to this sushi place called Blue Sushi that's kind of close to our house that we like, and I was just not feeling the sushi tonight, and I was like, no, you guys go, have a good time. So he went there, and then they were gonna do a little shopping afterwards, and I guess it's her birthday is coming up next week, and she's going to be out of town, so they were also, like, planning her birthday party. So, anyway, I knew he probably wouldn't be home till, like, 8 or 8:30. So, I was, like, on the patio, and I was so relaxed, you guys. I was so comfortable. And I was watching Aphrodite's live Twitch stream. So, he's a tarot psychic card reader that, well, he and I have kind of become friends, and he's really a sweet guy. And, so I was watching his live stream, and it was funny because somebody in there said psychic reading ASMR, but it kind of was, like, I mean, in all honesty, I was like watching it, and I was kind of like falling asleep just like listening to it. It was just like so relaxing, and I was like in the chair sitting there, and I just was like, oh, I'm so relaxed right now. So anyway, then I ran and did a bunch of stuff. I came back and watched an episode of Girls Incarcerated, and that's when Alex came home, and then he was finishing up laundry, and then we hung out and talked for a while, and just kind of hung out with the dogs and stuff, and then he wanted to start Stranger Things 3, which I just finished, and so I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna lay down for a little bit. I think that was at like 9:30. You guys, I ended up sleeping so long. I slept till like 12:30. I could have slept straight through the night, too. I was just, like, dead to the world. But anyway, I have to tell you what is so weird about this dream that I had. So, last night, I had this nightmare. And in the nightmare, much of it took place at the house that I grew up in. Like, the scary part took place at the house that I grew up in. Whenever I have a nightmare, it always typically takes place at the house that I grew up in. I do not know why. And like I said, you know, like, I mean, I talk a lot about my mom's drinking and stuff on here, but there was a lot of really great things that happened in my childhood, too. You know, I mean, I had a pretty magical childhood. I think the hardest thing about living with an alcoholic parent, and, you know, somebody the other day said on here, there was a comment, and somebody said something to the effect of that my mom wouldn't like me talking about this, and that's absolutely incorrect. That's absolutely inaccurate. My mother would want me to tell people my story because she would want to inspire other people through her story, that she got sober at 51, and she did do this in her real life before she passed on, that she would, you know, want people to know she got sober at 51, but she could have easily as got sober at 41 or 30 or whatever, you know, and then been the mom that she always wanted to be. It wasn't that my mom wasn't a great mom. It was that my mom's mothering was muted by her drinking, and she knew that, you know, and she would want that to be inspiring and motivating to any mother out there that's suffering from addiction. My mother would say, do it for your kids. If she was sitting here right now, she would say, if you can't do it for anybody else, do it for your kid. You know, like, at least get inspired to do it for your kid and then end up doing it for yourself. But there was many aspects of my childhood that were absolutely magical. You know, I lived in a woods. I lived in a cul-de-sac. We, like, played games every day. You know, it was a really family neighborhood. My mom didn't, like, and I'm not taking away her drinking, but she didn't drink 24 hours a day. Much of the reason why it was horrible for me as a child growing up was because I was living in an alcoholic home in silence. Like, outside of maybe my aunt and uncle and my dad and maybe a couple of my mom's friends that, like, drank just as heavy as she did, not a lot of people knew that my mom even drank. You know what I mean? Like, they just saw us, like, lock the doors and go to bed at night. So they didn't know what happened in there. You know what I mean? There were some incidences through the years that occurred that I think made people know. But, like, definitely when I was younger, I mean, it was just the fact that, like, I didn't know what was going to happen, and so there's a lot of fear related to that. But there were a lot of really great times, too. So it's not like I lived in total, like, this was hell house or something, you know? It was just cold in here, and so I turned it's 68 degrees right now, which is the coolest it's been. It's like, it's usually in the 80s when I'm vlogging in the evening, so it's much cooler tonight. But, so I don't know why I always have, like, nightmares that occur in the house that I grew up in. I really don't get it, you know? And, I'm a believer. You're either going to believe this with me or you're going to not. And it's like whatever your train of thought is or your train of belief is. But I believe that spirits visit us sometimes in our sleep and in our dreams, because I think that that's ways to communicate with us or to help us and things like that. It was an idea that was presented to me, and I believe it. It makes a lot of sense. I've had things happen in my dreams that I can't explain any other way. And I actually had a situation happen with somebody that I knew where they had a dream that a friend, and they were walking around somewhere with a friend, and a certain song was playing. It was like their song together. And the friend said to them, like, I don't want you to worry about me, I'm gonna be okay. And they woke up and they were like, I don't know why I had this dream. And then they found out later that day that that person had passed. So I believe a lot in that. Well, I had this horrible nightmare last night. There was something hiding in the closet at the house that I grew up in. I mean, I was even kind of terrified when I went home last night, just because of, like, I don't know, just like walking around inside in the dark and stuff like that, you know. And even though that's what isn't at the place that the nightmare took place, I don't know, I just always have these horrible nightmares of the house that I grew up in. And I don't know why. I really don't know why, you know? I don't know if it's unresolved issues that I have with growing up. I don't know what it is. But anyway, interestingly tonight, I had a very vivid dream about my house. I mean, it was unreal, you guys. So in my dream, I was at a new house, and my mom has, like, in another dream that I've had, my mom has lived in this new house, and it's this cute little kind of Cape Cod, one-story, it's like this small little neighborhood by a lake. It's really weird. Like, whenever I see this house in her dream, like in my dreams, I always think that, like, this is where my mom lives now, like on the other side or something. Like, it's weird. Like, when I wake up, I'm always like, that's so weird. Like, because the house is, like, so bright and just this light just illuminating through the house. My mom always wanted a really bright house. She'd always say that, like, when we were growing up, she'd say, oh, this house is so dark. It's so dark. But anyway, we were at that house, and then my mom's friend Susie was visiting, and another one of their friends that was a sorority sister of theirs was visiting. And so, and Boo Radley was with us in this dream. I don't know why. And it was just Boo Radley. It wasn't the other dogs. And so we were, like, driving in this car, yet again in a car, and we were driving around, and I said to Susie, I said, well, where are we going? And she goes, we're going to your house. And I got, like, this scary feeling inside. Like, I didn't want to go to the house. Like, I knew that there was, like, evil there or something. And I was like, Susie, I don't want to go there. And she was like, which is weird, because I just got a birthday card from Susie. But she was like, no, she was like, let's go. Come on, it'll be fine, blah, 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 whatever. And, well, I didn't just. I got a birthday card from her, like, a week ago. But it's sitting out on the counter. She was like, it'll be fine. Well, we, like, pulled up to the house, and there were these, and it was like we were in my mom's old car that my mom used to, so, like, my mom, when I was in high school, drove a Nissan Maxima, and we were, like, in that car, and then there was, like, a van that these people were in, and they couldn't get, like, they were, like, blocked in to the driveway, and it was the driveway of the house that I grew up in. And I, like, went out and, like, got the mail from the mailbox. I don't know why. And there was, like, stuff, like, for us in there. And so anyway, all of a sudden I knew very quickly that these were the new owners of the house. Like, I knew it, like, in the dream. And I was like, oh, so you guys are the ones that bought the house. And there had been previous owners, like, in between us and them. And I was like, so you're moving in today? And they were like, yeah. And your mom and Susie wanted you to see the house, like, before we moved in. And they asked us if you could. And I was like, oh, that's really nice of you. One of the things that was really weird was that there was a lot of animals in this dream. Like, there were all kinds of animals, like, running around the house, like squirrels and birds and all this kind of stuff. And Boo Radley was, like, right by my side the whole time. It was so crazy. And, like, almost kind of protecting me. It was weird. And so we went in the back door through the garage, which is is how I used to go into the house when I was a kid. And we went in through the back door. Like, there was a garage and then there was a side door. And then we would go into the side door and then you'd be in the garage and then you would go in through the house that way. And we went in and I'm, like, looking in the library. I'm, like, looking at, like, the office and the mudroom. I'm like, everything is exactly the same as it used to be. And it was real bright, and it was real cheery, and music was playing inside, and they were serving food, and it was really weird. And they had, like, taken everything that was in the so I had this, like, when I grew up, I had this, like, library that had, like, French doors, and you step down, and it had actual, like, built-in, like, bookcases and stuff, and it was, like, one of my favorite rooms, and this huge fireplace. And one of the kids was, like, running around, and he was like, don't you love the fireplace? And he was like, I love to, like, because it's, like, big enough that, like, a kid could stand in it. And he was like, I like to stand underneath it. And, I was like, yeah, when I was a kid, I used to love that fireplace. And, like, in the library, stuff that I know that we took, like, this oriental rug, this painting, the stereo that my mom used to listen to, it was all there, and it was all, like, the stereo was playing, and it was real cheerful. And so I walked out of there, and I walked through the living room, and then I went out on the porch. And this was so weird, you guys. In my dream, so there were, like, 3 people hanging out on the porch, and the porch looked exactly the same, but the couch was different, and it had this, like, fake palm tree and stuff out there. Like, there was some kind of stuff that was different, and I, like, started taking pictures, and I was like, oh my God, and I was, like, talking to Boo Radley in my dream, and I was like, Boo, I have to take pictures of this for the people on my vlog, because I want the people on my vlog to see what the porch looked like, because I always talk about the porch in my vlogs, but I never can explain, like, what it really looks like. And it was surreal. And then, like, I walked downstairs. I was, like, walking through the kitchen, and in the dining room was, like, where they had all the food out, and they had, like, just, like, finger food and all this kind of stuff. And then I was always terrified of our basement when I was growing up. We had an unfinished basement. Well, I know that the people that bought it after us, because my cousin, so there was people that bought it after us, and then now there's, I think, like, a single doctor that lives in it, this guy or whatever. But the people after us, like, they finished the basement. They built this huge patio off of, that, like, goes out into the woods and everything. It's very cool. And I had seen it, like, on these pictures that Caroline sent me, my cousin. So, I was like, Boo, the basement is finished. We should go down there. And so we went to the basement, and we looked all around, and it wasn't, like, there were, like, certain rooms that I was really scared to go into. And I'm, like, walking around in the basement, like, in the dark, and I totally wasn't scared at all. And then we went upstairs, and by the time that, like, we walked upstairs, like, they had changed in my dream, like, everything about the upstairs. Like, where my bedroom should have been had been turned into a master bedroom. I couldn't even figure out, like, how they did it, but I was kind of over it at that point. I was kind of like, let's go, I'm ready to go. Like, I've seen everything I need to see. I don't need to see anymore. And, you know, I was, like, content and ready to, like, move on. Like, I had seen the house. Like, I didn't need to sit there and, you know, see it anymore. It was really weird. And then we left. Boo and I were the only ones in the house, and Susie and my mom were waiting for us out front with another friend of theirs that they went to college with, and we all got in the car and drove off, and I woke up. It was the weirdest dream, you guys. It was like, the purpose of the dream was totally for me just to go in that house and see that everything was fine. It was the weirdest thing. I have no idea, but it was like, literally, my dream the whole dream that I remember, and they say that like your dreams that you remember are only like the last like minute or something, right? But the entire dream that I remember is literally us just going to this house and touring it, and it was like light from every room. It was very cheerful. Music was coming out of the front windows. It was like there was not one thing that was scary about it to me, And I'm like, I wonder if that was like my mom, like, because y'all know I believe in this stuff, right? So I was like, I wonder if that's my mom, like, not wanting me to be afraid of the house that I grew up in, and not like wanting it to be a scary place in my dreams anymore. I don't know, watch, I'll go to sleep tonight and I'll have a nightmare about my house that I grew up in or something. It's interesting, I need to kind of figure out what I think that's about with the house. So anyway, that's that. And then I woke up and I was just looking at stuff on my phone. That stupid phone that I get on, and then 45 minutes goes by and I've wasted 45 minutes of my life. I have still not started the magic book yet. I have read everything. It was like 29 pages of the introduction. I finally like read all, I just sat down and read all straight through it today when I was on the patio. So tomorrow I'm going to start day one. I'm ready for that. And I'm finally going back on program tomorrow. I didn't do too bad today, but I wasn't on program at all. This is why, like, when I do structured diets, like, I can't get off of them because I have such a hard time getting back on them. But we're not going to talk about the negative. We're going to only focus on the positive today. I mean, right? Why not? Have you guys watched Stranger Things 3 yet? It's very good. Alex is 2 episodes in. I have this book over here that I was sent from Australia. I was very, very excited. It's a true crime book. Signed by the author. Somebody got it signed for me by the author. I don't want to misquote who sent it to me. I have the card sitting in the book. But I need to show all of this stuff that I've gotten in my P.O. box, because I've gotten so much stuff lately, and it's really, really sweet that you guys were sending me stuff. Elle Leary has been helping me with places to stay in San Diego. I'm extremely thankful to her. And she knows some places there, so she's suggesting some places to me. And some other people have been suggesting some places to me. You guys have in the comment sections below. I really appreciate that. Like, I was talking to her about, like, I'd really like to do an Airbnb, but they're like either way far away from where my brother-in-law lives, or they're not like really what I would want. I would love to rent an Airbnb that was private, that had some gorgeous pool. That's what I would love to rent, but unfortunately, that is probably... I looked, it just doesn't, like, I didn't see a whole lot of that, you know? There were a lot of condos and stuff like that, but I will say this. Like, Alex and I had been talking a lot about, like, going to Florida just for a month. Like, I would love that. And, you know, renting an Airbnb. We have a friend of ours that she and her fiance are doing that in Fort Lauderdale right now. And, it's at the end, and I didn't even realize it. That was, took me not very long. But anyway, and they rented this house in Fort Lauderdale that has a pool. It's adorable. And I'm like, you know, we could do that. Like, that would be really fun. And then just drive down there with the dogs. So we would have a car down there. I would love that. Because then I would get a road trip too. But now I don't know really when we would do it. I mean, it's not really realistic with a lot of Alex's work right now, but maybe down the road, maybe sometime next year we could do it. I never knew the name of that street, and I pass it every night on my vlogs, just like looking at it. I was like reading that magic book today, and it was saying that you need to make a list of all of your dreams, like everything that you want in every different category. And it was talking about like a career, relationship, health, all these different things, right? And I remember doing it before, and it's kind of like a manifestation journal, and of all the things you want in your life, like all the dreams that you want to achieve, like a vision board or anything like that. I have not done that for a while. Like, I need to sit down and actually do that. I really believe in those things, and I really believe in reading them and putting action to them. And I was kind of thinking about it today. I was like, in all honesty, I was like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Because I remember doing it before, and I was like very specific with what I wanted, you know? And I think like part of it today is that I have almost everything that I want. Like, I mean, there's some really superficial things that I would love to have, you know, don't get me wrong. I'd love the ability to just, like, I'd love a Cartier Santos watch. I would love to have, you know, this Gucci messenger bag that I've wanted for a couple years, but I don't need those things, and they're not going to make me any happier than if I didn't have them, and I know that, right? So it's like, I don't really care if I have them or if I don't have them. And I think the thing is that, like, I have everything in my life that I really want. Like, I feel very content. Like, one of the things I was doing when I was, I should pull in and read you guys the ones that I subscribe to. But I was looking up articles like best scary podcasts of 2019. And if you guys have any suggestions, I think it's because somebody did suggest one to me in the vlog. I'm almost positive somebody suggested a horror vlog or a horror podcast that's keeping them up. Yeah, whoever you are, that you're the reason that I wasted 45 minutes of my life tonight. No, I'm joking. But I went and I started reading all these articles about like the scariest podcasts. I did not realize, I mean, I knew there were a lot of podcasts out there, but I didn't really realize how many podcasts there were out there, right? Do you know what I was really thinking is, I think Mel and I need to start a podcast. You know, Mel and I have the book club. I think we need to do a podcast. I think that's what we need to do. And I think Mel and I need to figure, we work so well together. I mean, we really, like, I have to, you know, I don't know if it's our star signs or any of that kind of BS, but I have to say, like, Mel is honestly probably one of the creative teams I have worked the best with in my life. Like, in all honesty. Like, we work so well together. I'm gonna actually turn here. I'm gonna read you guys these podcasts. Like, if she has an idea and I don't really like it, I'll be like, oh, I don't know what I think about that. And she's like, okay, well, what do you think? And then if I say something, she'll be like, she'll challenge me on it and be like, you know, I understand that you want to do this, but, and I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, we don't really ever argue or disagree with anything. And, but I would say that we're both really equally passionate and invested in the book club. So it's like, when we feel pretty strongly about something, we stand our ground. She really does, and I appreciate that. And I really respect that in people too, you know? But I think I think she and I need to do a podcast. I think that's what we need to do. I think it needs to be our next venture. Mel, she's gonna like call me tomorrow. She's gonna be like, okay, because I started on on my BookTube channel, I said I was going to start a new, like, read-along thing, and I said, oh, I'll just put Mel in charge of it. She could just do it. She, like, the next day, she texted me, and she said, I get off work, I'll call you about this new book idea that you have or something like that. It was so fun. What did she say? It was so funny. She said, let's talk about the read-along stuff tomorrow. She said I can call you either at lunch or on my way home. She's like, I am not. And then when we talked on the phone, I said something to her. I was really excited about possibly turning it into another book club. And she's like, yeah, I don't think that we need another book club. She's like, because she's doing all the work over there, which is the truth. So I was like, yeah, we don't need another. We can just keep it as a read-along. That's totally fine. Okay, so let me find my podcasts in here. Okay, so I already have my favorite murder. Okay, somebody suggested to me, Let's Not Meet. I don't know who you are. Well, I guess I could just probably go in here and read them. But I downloaded Let's Not Meet, and then I downloaded The Apex and the Abyss. I downloaded Sword and Scale, Return Home, Up and Vanished, and No Sleep. Those were ones that I found in, like when I Googled articles about what are like the best new, or the scariest podcast of 2019. Those were the ones that came up. Where am I looking? Hold on a second. I'm going to read the comment that somebody, I'm going to give a shout out. Oh, Harper, she was sharing about her dream. I'm sorry about your dream. Why is somebody telling me what's happening with Girls Incarcerated Winchester Girl, who you're on here every night? I love you. But Debbie, tell me stuff. I haven't seen what's happened yet. Somebody else is talking on here, Jaden, about going back to their childhood home in nightmares. Okay, Jessica said, I think you should skip the goal setting next year for reading. Just go with the flow, which I totally agree, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm not going to do it, okay? Like, because I get so into setting the goal for Goodreads. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, and I totally agree with you 100%, but I'm going to do it. I just know I will. Okay, here it is. Moonlit said, I've been creeping myself out a lot lately by listening to the Let's Not Meet podcast. It's really suspenseful and super scary at times. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to start. Thank you, Moonlit. I'm going to go back and listen to that from the very beginning because I want to get into a podcast. And I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts. I went in and I deleted the podcast that I was listening to before. Well, not my favorite murder. I listen to that from time to time, but not always. Because I love it, but like sometimes like I'm like, just get to the point, okay? It's like 45 minutes of inside jokes between these women, which sometimes I think is really cute and funny, and other times like I just don't relate to it at all, you know? There is an entire podcast just devoted to the Zodiac Killer, and I can't remember what it's called. I screenshot it. I think it's called Monster, actually. And I'm gonna listen to the book, and then I'm gonna listen to the book Zodiac for this month, and then I'm gonna listen to the podcast. Okay, so Jessica, so here's the deal. I'm talking right to you, girl. Do you hear me? So I totally relate to what you're saying, and I think you're 100% correct. I probably shouldn't set a goal, but like being a booktuber and not setting a goal on Goodreads is like it's sinful. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like, I mean, you have to, right? And here's the thing, like I have friends of mine on BookTube that literally set their Goodreads goals for one, okay? Like they just set it for one book, and then they read one book and then they're done, like with their book. So then like their BookTube, like challenge doesn't really mean anything, but they still participate in it. But I don't want to do that either. Like I want to have a goal to work towards. I don't know why. I mean, like here's the thing, like I don't let myself really get down about it. Okay. If I broke it down for you, how I really feel about it is this. It has been 6 months. I have read a total of 20 books, which is 3 books a month, okay? 3 books a month is not bad. But I've read a book a month for the book club. So that means I've read a book a month for the book club plus 2 other books. There are so many books out there in the world that I want to read. It's just like with movies and TV shows and stuff. There's so many things out there that I want to participate in and I want to read. And my leg and my back is like killing me right now. But there's so many things that I want to read and I want to participate in. There's so many books that I want to read, right? And experience. That when I know that on a minimum, I should be able to at least read a book a week, okay? A minimum. That's 4 to 5 books. I mean, that should be then a minimum of 52 books a year, right? So, for me, the sad part is that I'm missing 20 to 30, 40 books that could be like profoundly changing my life every year, or that I'm at least escaping from reality or getting enjoyment out of, you know what I mean? And that's why I kind of am hard on myself. It's not about that number. I don't really care about that number of 100, like I have to achieve it. I mean, it would be really cool if I achieved 100, but I know who I am. And if I hit 100 books the next year, I'd be like, I'm gonna read 110 this year. You know what I mean? Like, that would be who I am always. So, and I don't think I'll ever be the reader probably that's reading 300 books a year. I just don't think that I am. I will be. And there's a lot of other things that I have interest in that I do. And it was funny because, well, so I was talking to Rich the other night, and he was like, I was listening to your podcast, and he was like, girl, you post 5 videos a day, okay? He was like, it is not realistic for you to read 26 books a month. And I said, I was talking about a friend of this lady that I met. I wasn't saying that I was going to read 26 books a month. He was like, I know, but I just want you not to be too hard on yourself. He was like, that's not very realistic, Peter. And I was like, I know, Rich. But, you know, like at the same time, I'm like, and I said something to him, he goes, well, I listened to the podcast, or I listened to the vlog, and, you know, the thing is, though, is I'm like, but there are people out there that are working full-time jobs and, you know, listening to 10 books a month and reading 10 physical copy of books a month. I should be able to do that too. And I'm very hard on myself. Like, but the thing is that then I want to listen to music and I want to talk on the phone. So, like, if I was in my car, if every second that I was in my car, I was listening to an audiobook, sure, like, I would, you know, be, like, and that was what I think I used to do, was back in the day, prior to the vlog as well. So, like, I would literally get in my car and I would drive for 3 hours every night and listen to an audiobook. Well, if a book was 6 hours, you know, if a book was, let's say, 12 hours long, which is a long book, I could finish a book a night, a book every other night. So, yeah, I was reading 4 books a week, sometimes 3 books a week, audiobooks. But I was literally just, I mean, I wasn't talking on the phone in the car. I wasn't listening to music, ever. You know, I wasn't listening to talk radio or podcasts or things like that. So, I mean, I want to experience all of that. And I've always been somebody like that has so many varied interests. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's food for thought, though. Maybe next year I won't set it so high. Maybe next year I will take whatever I read this year and add 5 books to it. And then I'd be happy, you know, if I, like, pass that. Or maybe, you know what I'll do going forward is, like, if I read 35 books this year, let's say, maybe next year I'll set my Goodreads challenge for 1 more. So if I read 35 this year, I'll make it 36 next year. Then I'll always know what I read the year before, because it'll just be that number plus 1. And then it'll be something to build on each year. And then if I finally hit 100 books, I finally hit 100 books. What do you think about that? That's not a bad idea, you know? I kind of like that idea. I think that's what I'm going to do. Jessica, thank you for giving me things to think about. No, but seriously, I appreciate it. I am about to have to pull over here and, like, step outside my car for a second because it's like my hip is killing me. And I'm really excited about pulling out here on the side of the road when I'm talking about scary things. But I have to because my leg is killing me. Oh my God. Do you guys ever do this? Do you ever just have to get out and stretch? Oh. back of my legs. Did you hear that? That's a first in this vlog. Do you know what we're actually coming up on? We're coming up on the area. What time is it? We're coming up on the area. I was thinking that there's this donut place that I love that's open 24 hours in Anderson. And I'm like, while I'm vlogging and then I could listen to my audiobook, I could go up there and get 2 donuts and eat those and then go back on program tomorrow. And I think that's actually what I'm gonna do. Don't hate me and don't judge, okay? I'm going back on program. So anyway, but right up, I am, I swear. But anyway, right up here, well, kind of up and over. So I'm not right here. I'm distracted by the donut now. But that's gonna be the name of this vlog, distracted by the donut. Do you ever get confused on how to spell donut? It's D-O-N-U-T, in case you didn't know. Okay, so anyway, do you remember when the cooler was on the side of the road? Damn it, I wish I would have looked in that cooler. I know it would have been like that movie 7 though, so I'm kind of glad that I didn't look inside to see. This donut place in Anderson is called Deluxe Donuts, and it is open 24 hours a day. And I said to her the last time I was in there, I said, you know what? I might get a t-shirt. She said, she goes, is there anything else that you want? And I said, yes, one of those adorable t-shirts. And she said, she goes, well, you can, she like pointed at the thing. She's like, you can get them and then you get 2 free donuts. And I was like, I'm getting me a t-shirt tonight. I think I'm gonna get a t-shirt. I said I wanted to get a t-shirt when I go travel places, right? Do you remember me saying that? So I've been getting all these travel t-shirts. I actually need to go through my closet and I need to go through the things that I'm gonna wear and the things I'm actually not gonna wear. And I need to like redo my closet. I need to go through my shoes. I need to go through everything and kind of figure it all out. Oh, I'm kind of excited now. And then I can listen to a podcast, or I can listen to an audiobook. Do any of you guys listen to podcasts that are like television shows? So this one that I downloaded, it's like a series. So it's like a TV series. And it's about this guy that returns to his hometown and like all the scary stuff happens, but it's kind of funny too, it said. And it's like, that would be really fun to like write a series like that and like act it out with my friends. I couldn't get all my friends together in one place so to do it. I'd be like, let's do it. And then Tanya would be like, oh, I don't really feel like it tonight. I'd be like, come on, you agreed to do this. I want to do that. That would be so much fun. I wish I had a group of people that were like really committed to that in Indianapolis, that we could all get together and do write a series and do a podcast. I actually have somebody I could reach out to that might be interested in doing that. We would each like do voices and we could write it and stuff. That would be so much fun. I just got super excited with that idea, just so you know. I still think Mel and I should do a podcast though too. See, this is why I don't get anything done. Because I'm constantly coming up with new ideas. Always. Constantly coming up with new ideas. I could just like put an ad out, couldn't I? On like Craigslist for people like interested in doing a podcast together. Maybe I'll do that. Actually, I have a friend of mine that does a podcast. I'm going to talk to him and see what he thinks about it first. What do you guys think about that? Wouldn't that be so cool if we did like a podcast, but it was like a TV series? TV series, like a show. Oh, I'm pretty excited about this idea. I can feel my wheels turning. Whenever something, I get like goosebumps whenever something like, I start thinking about it, and it's like, okay, this is a good idea. Plus it'd be a way for me to like use, I'm having a deja vu moment too, which means that you're on the blueprint of your life, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. But it would be a way for me to get my writing outlet out, and I've always wanted to write for TV, and this would be me kind of deciding, like, you know, if I had a writing team, there's like 3 of us writing it, and then like 8 people that were like actors or something, or 6 people. Wouldn't that be so fun? Oh my God. Oh my God. We could come up with like the sound effects and stuff. Oh my God, I'm so excited. This could be such a good idea. I wonder if there's like studios here that you can like rent to do that stuff. I have to talk to my friend about this. Now my wheels are turning. You just saw how like creative stuff happens for me. I start thinking about it, and then I'm like, oh, I should do this, or oh, I should do that. Oh, I should go get a donut. You should drive 30 minutes one way and 30 minutes back the other way just for a donut. I'm sure my haters will love that one. He's off program and he drove an hour for a donut. Get over it. I've driven for worse things before, so listen. You've never had one of these donuts. They are so good. They're basically the ones I get a sprinkled cake, frosted cake donut. It's real delicious. And then I get, and she's real nice, the girl that works in there. She's always the one that works 24 hours. She actually gave me the idea for a new book that I want to write. About this guy, and he's like just stopping through town. He's on his way, and like this, it's kind of like comical, but it's like an adventure like story at the same time. I was just in there one time and I thought of this idea. I don't know why, but anyway, she's like on the run, and these guys come in and they're like trying to find her boyfriend, and they're all like suits, you know, and they shoot and kill her boyfriend, and then she's like just left him, and so she like bagged up all this stuff, and she has this like treasure map that he always said was something, and she just took it to piss him off, but it ends up being actually a treasure map. So her and this So she and this guy are on the run on this treasure map. They're trying to like go all over the U.S. trying to find out what the real treasure is, and yeah, that's basically my book. It all starts in a donut shop. But they have, in this donut shop, they have every kind of cream-filled donut that you would want, every different kind of cream. And then they have cinnamon, they have maple frosted cinnamon rolls, and they have regular frosted cinnamon rolls. Those are usually the ones that I get, like the vanilla frosty and cinnamon rolls. They're so good, and they're really big, too. They're like this big. And then I get either orange juice or water. I always ask her, I'm like, which one's your favorite donut? And she goes, the yeast are really my favorite. I hate that when people just say the yeast are their favorite. It's so boring. And there's always the same guy, and he's sitting in there, and he eats sausage biscuits and gravy every day. He's always sitting in there. Last time I said to him, you sure must love those biscuits and gravy. You're in here every day eating them. He's like, told me that it was his break from his job. He was like, this is my lunch from my job at like 3 o'clock in the morning. He told me where he works and everything. People are so nice. See, like, small town people are so nice. They're not... Do you ever feel like people can just be rude sometimes? I feel like there are so many rude people out there that just are not nice. You guys, I cannot believe I am less than a month shy from being a vegetarian for 2 years. It seems crazy to me. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, I wanted to be a vegetarian forever, but I just don't know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I am the most unhealthy vegetarian in the entire world. I go, it's truly not hard. I said, I need to be eating, like, really healthy foods, but I just don't do it, and I need to get back on program for my Optavia, and I haven't done it, and I basically told him myself. I think my back hurts because I sit like this when I vlog. I like sit like hunched over. Have you noticed that? There was something I wanted to talk about on here tonight. I don't remember what it was. So while I was like on the patio, do you guys know I hardly ever turn on the TV anymore? Do you know it's crazy? Like, I watch Netflix on my computer. I did just recently, I know this is so embarrassing, I did just recently figure out how to use Netflix on the TV, like easily to use it. Like before, I'd always have to go into like, pull up an episode of something, then go into the episode, then sign in. It was all real difficult. But like Alex has it set up now where basically all I go is Netflix, and then it pulls it up and it says Peter or Alex, and I go into my account, and then I can like watch whatever I want, and I love that. But like for TV, the only thing I watch on TV is Pose. Like, seriously. And forever, like, while I was working just around the house, like, while I was uploading videos or cleaning or whatever, or doing laundry, I would just put a movie on in the background. But this year, I haven't, like, or this month, I haven't done that. Like, it's been, like, probably 2 or 3 weeks since I've done that. I've had a movie in the background. I'm just, like, pretty much in silence all day, or all during the day. Which is crazy. I let the dogs wander around outside forever today. I mean, we were outside. When I wasn't filming, we were outside today. It was beautiful. It was cooler weather outside. It was so nice. Not cool by any means, but cooler. It's 63 right now. I cannot believe that it's so chill. It's so cold outside. But, yeah, not cold by any means, but cold, like cooler, you know, where you weren't like burning up, just sitting out there. And I just really, really enjoyed it today. And Tucker kind of stayed up by me, but Boo and Pee-Pee, like, they just wandered all around the yard. And they, like, wandered out in the yard so long that I didn't even have to call them to come in. Pee-Pee finally, like, walked in, and he was up, I mean, they were probably out there for, like, 40 minutes just walking around in the yard. They are such good dogs. Like, I just sit there in the chair, and I can kind of see them just walking around. They just walk back and forth, and Pee-Pee looks up at the air and breathes it and stuff like that. When I took his urine in this morning, they said that I was going to get, she said that she would call later today. She's like, we should call you by the end of today and give you the results. I don't know, maybe that was a God thing that I wasn't supposed to get the results today because I was having such a great day and it would have just made me sad. He just seems to be doing so well. He actually, like, he's been kind of challenging us on his food lately. I really think it's because the poor little guy has hardly no teeth left. So we've now moved him to wet food. But, I mean, he's been on wet food for months now. But he, like, has a hard time, like, getting it, you know? We put it on a plate. It's not in a bowl. We put it in a plate. And we even cut it up into little, like, sections so it's easier for him to get. But today, I was like, well, yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was 2 days ago. I got him chicken and rice. So I get grilled chicken breast, and that's already cut up. And then I microwave like 2 cups of it. And then just a bag of regular rice that I microwave for like 90 seconds. And then I mix it all together, and then I give him like half of it. And he likes the rice, but mostly he just picks the chicken out of it. Actually, a couple people had recommended to me in the vlog to do that. That was a really healthy diet. But like, I've done that for a long time. I'll tell you when I started really doing it was when I read the book, the octopus book. Lily and the Octopus, about the dog, that when the dog was getting sick, she would, like, he would make her chicken and rice. I thought it was so sweet. Well, when Pee-Pee was getting sick, I would get him chicken and rice. And then if you remember, for a long time, we switched our dog's diet completely to chicken and rice. And then the vet said she didn't want us switching it to chicken and rice. She wanted us, I'm gonna go all the way here. She said she didn't want us make, like Alex had like bought a rice cooker and everything. And then she said, you know, I really don't want them eating chicken and rice all the time. Like you need to get the food. She gave us several different recommendations for wet food, and she said that has like a lot of other things in it, like grains and things like that they need actually. So, and she said, you know, she picked out different different dog foods that actually have, and she said there's only like 10 of these people in the country, and like 6 of them work for dog food companies, and that they're actually veterinarians that have their dietitian or like their license, like their post-education is in specific in like dog dietary stuff, and they work for these dog companies. And she was like, those are the dog foods that you want to purchase. She was like, because they're really focused on what's best for the dog. And so she gave me like those 6 names and just said pick from that. I can't remember what the 6 names were, and I don't even know what the brand is that we use. I just have I could look. Alex just ordered more from Amazon Prime, so they deliver it to our door. But anyway, the dogs like it. PB likes it. But tonight, I made him some chicken and rice. We had 1 can of food left, so I split it between Boo and Tucker, and then I gave them a little bit of chicken and rice each too, and as like a special treat. And then I gave Pee-Pee like a whole plate of chicken and rice, and he ate almost all of it. I couldn't believe it. It just kind of depends. The thing is that I can always tell, like, if he's not feeling well, he won't even eat a treat. But like, he is the treat master. Like, he loves his treats. And usually, like, he'll just run outside. Like I was telling this the other night. Like, he'll run outside just so that he can come back inside and get a treat. Like, he's not feeling this one. I know what he's doing, right? So, but usually, like, he likes this, you know, he'll eat his treats, and he'll eat his treats, and he'll eat his food. But, like, I think sometimes, like, if he goes out, I mean, he's a little dog. He's really little. So, like, in the morning, we give him, I need to get some more Cheese Whiz, actually. The Cheese Whiz is really working for his pills. But if we give him, like, some Cheese Whiz with his pills, that's in the morning, right? And then a couple bacon strips throughout the day or whatever we give him, I don't think he's super hungry. And then the thing that happens is he'll, like kind of pick at his food for a little bit, for like 10 minutes, and he'll eat like a quarter of it, and then he's done. And we'll pick it up and put the plate up, and then he'll come back to it like 2-3 hours later, and he'll eat, you know, the rest of it or most of the rest of it. But I think, like, at that moment, he's just not hungry because, like, he's eating a lot, or he drinks a lot of water too, you know. I think it's from the Lasix, and, you know, I think he's also trying to stay hydrated, and I'm worried about the results from this urine and what she's going to say we have to do next. As far as, like, how to moderate the meds. I mean, I'm willing to do whatever she tells us to do, but she's been fantastic so far. Tomorrow night, I have my meeting with Tanya. We have to, like, give somebody a ride that she recently met, so I have to pick her up a little bit earlier tomorrow night. But I'm excited about that. It's supposed to be a nice evening tomorrow night, so that'll be fun. And then, not a whole lot during the day. Sleep in a little bit, make some videos, read a little bit. Because my leg and my back is hurting so bad. I do not know what is wrong. I was watching that Aphrodite's live stream on Twitch today, and there was like 15 minutes when he was like ordering food, I was just being quiet for a second, and it reminded me of that. And he was like so quiet through the whole thing, and I was like, it kind of cracked me up. Like, nobody in the live stream seemed to care, and I thought, if you did that in like a live stream, like on YouTube or like YouNow or whatever, like people would hate it. Like if you just, I mean, he was like looking down and he's like ordering food, and like he wasn't saying anything for like 10 or 15 minutes. He's so hilarious. He is a really, really nice guy. He is like one of the nicest, most compassionate people I've ever met. Like truly just like a genuine, kind soul. Did you guys hear that they're like stopping making the Volkswagen Bugs? Which is so funny. I'm like passing this Volkswagen place, and it's like there's not like one Volkswagen there. It's all other cars. But then did you also know that they are coming out with the electric... oh, I wanted to go down that way. I just missed my street that I needed to turn on to go to the donuts. But they're coming out with... Was that my street that I was supposed to go on? Maybe not. They're coming out with these, like those vans, you know? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? They're coming out with the vans that... I'm kind of disoriented right now. Like, I know where I'm at, but I'm like, yeah, this is definitely not it. I need to turn around and go back that way. They're coming out with those old school, like, minivans, but they're coming out with, like, really, like, yellow and blue that look like the Scooby-Doo, like, gang and stuff like that, but they're, like, electric cars or something. I'm not sure how I feel about the whole electric car thing yet. There's this little bagel place up here that my friend and I, we used to go to. We would go to a noon meeting. And then afterwards, she got a new job. She used to work from home. So she would go to a noon meeting with me. And then we would go to the bagel place, and we would, she was like early in sobriety when I met her. She was just about a year sober. We became really good friends, and like quickly. She's so cool, very relatable, and just very real. And she was going through a divorce, and she just didn't know a lot of people. And I started going to a lot of noon meetings, and we became friends pretty quickly. And so we would go over there after a meeting, and we would eat these bagel sandwiches, and then we would go back to our house, which was actually like right around the corner, and we would like sit on our patio and drink coffee and smoke cigarettes until our kids came home from school. We just talk recovery. We read to each other sometimes from the book. So nice. There's such like a simplicity with recovery, you know? I feel like this is wrong too. I don't know why. I used to go to, well, you know, I changed up all my meetings about 2 years ago. But before that, I used to go to a speaker meeting every Sunday. That's like a sister meeting to my home group. So my home group, which is a discussion meeting, has two like meetings that are connected to it. It has a literature meeting, which means you just go and you like read literature. And then it has a speaker meeting. So it's like Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. And I've been thinking about going to the speaker meeting on Sundays again. I really miss that. It was such a great meeting. I think I'm going to go this week. Oh my God, my leg. There's just like an aching and a throbbing in my leg. I don't know why. There's something about leaving a meeting, though, that's so peaceful, you know? You know, once you've been sober for a while, very little of it has really anything to do with drugs or drinking. But then so much of it has to do, like, it's just huge contradiction, right? Or conundrum, because very little about addiction or recovery has anything to do with drugs or alcohol. Which is why it's always interesting to me when people, like, talk a lot about, like, quitting and then, like, what they've done since and how it's tied to drugs and alcohol. Because I'm like, you know, really we know that addiction isn't really just about the drugs or the alcohol, you know? But like, as you've been sober for a while, the thing is that I think you kind of, like, forget. Like, we don't talk about long-term sobriety that much. We just really, really don't. I'm, like, really sore right now, you guys. My leg is, like, really driving me crazy. We don't talk about long-term sobriety enough, you know? I mean, I've been sober almost a quarter of a century. Like, that's kind of crazy, you know? And, I mean, I've been sober more than half of my life. So, me knowing that it's very much not about the drinking or the drugging today, like, the addiction is alive and well in me, you know, if I'm not doing what I need to be doing, but it's really more about who I am as a person underneath that, right? Which is what the 12 steps are about for me, which is why I choose to use a 12-step program. You don't have to, but that's what I choose to do. But the thing that's interesting is, I think the one thing that I forgot until I started having friends of mine go back out is that as much as it isn't about the drink or the drug, it is too about the fact that no matter how long you've been sober, one day or 100 years, we're still, many of us, every morning that we get up, just as close to the drink or the drug that we were when we first got sober. And I think my friends forgot that. I think that was a big part of what they forgot, you know? And so I think I have to remember that. Which is, I think, is why it's important for me to hear newcomer stories and what they've recently gone through, and why it's important for, you know, all of us to share our stories of it's also about a deeper issues. It's not just about that stuff, you know. But I love going to meetings. Meetings are a reminder to me. It's crazy to me that people ask me a lot. They're like, why do you still go to meetings if you've been sober for so long? It's like, so the way it was always explained to me is that, like, 12-step meetings and working a program, which to me means reading my text, praying, keeping a spiritual foundation, having a sponsor, being sponsorable. Being sponsorable means that you're willing to have somebody that will guide you through, you know, the 12 steps. A sponsor is somebody that has, you know, supposedly is suggested same sex, unless you're gay. Then it says in the pamphlet that you can have an opposite sex sponsor, which after 22 years I finally did, and she's fantastic. Not that my other sponsors weren't, but I feel like I have a different relationship with her that I've had before. Where is this going? I don't know what I'm... Okay. So for me, like, you know, it's important to remain sponsorable and not get to a point where I think, oh, I don't need a sponsor. I've learned everything. There's not anything that anybody can tell me that I don't already know. It's important to remain humble and remain sponsorable. That to me is a big part of working a program. Basic tech, service, going to meetings, sharing, things like that are all to me working a program. And the reality is, those men and those women that have 30 years and 25 years and 40 years and 50 years of sobriety, that are still healthy and are still sober, that are successful and have great relationships and have the lives that I want, are not people that stopped going to meetings. They're the people that continue to go to meetings. And they're the people that continue to have sponsors and continue to work programs and continue to stay sponsorable. And they have what I want, so I do what they do. And that's what I was taught. And, you know, if your medicine is working, why would you stop taking it? It's my medicine for my addiction, and it works for me, and so I'll continue to take it as long as I have a successful life, you know? Plus, I mean, when I go to meetings, like, I hear so much wisdom. I hear so many things that, like, enrich my life and change my life. I've met so many fantastic people. Why would I cut that part of my life off, you know? Even if I wasn't gaining a lot from it, which I do. This whole night became just, like, very, very clear. I don't know why. I don't know if it's, like, the sky is so clear or whatever, but when I got on the interstate, it was so clear. So, like, why would I ever, like, stop going and stop doing that? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's one of the greatest suggestions I was ever given was, you know, I think for me, a lot of people that I've known that went back out, or that just are dry drunks or just empty, they just don't seem to be very happy, or their addiction goes into other things, seems to be people that first they stopped really talking to their sponsor, then they stopped going to meetings, and then they were just disconnected from a program, and then they kind of started saying they didn't really need it. They didn't really need it anymore, you know? And then they went back out eventually and they picked up and they used. And I don't know that if I pick up and use, that I'll make it back in. You know, there's this saying that I know I have another use in me, but I don't know if I have another recovery. I don't know. I don't know that I'm gonna make it back in. You know, if I stop going to meetings and I stop going, I mean, I had 4 years, you guys, where I didn't step one foot into the room of a 12-step program. I had no spiritual foundation, and I had no emotional sobriety. And emotional sobriety is, you know, we talk about not, like, sobriety being not using drugs and alcohol, but emotional sobriety is, you know, like, working on your emotions, working on your foundation, your spiritual foundation, being content, being peaceful, being serene on a daily basis, being a better person, working on, it's gonna stop, hold on. Working on being a better person on a daily basis, you know? That's emotional sobriety. Well, I had none of that. And really what happened was that I kind of went back to who I was when I was using, minus the using. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't drugging, but I was selfish, I was self-centered, I wasn't thinking about other people, I wasn't a very good version of myself, I wasn't, you know, a good boyfriend, I wasn't a good husband, I wasn't, you know, a good friend, I wasn't a horrible person, but I just wasn't thinking about other people. You know, I was just focused on myself. I was really just thinking about what is Peter's life should look like, and what do I want out of my life, and, you know, and I wasn't, like, I had literally no spiritual foundation whatsoever. Like, I didn't think about service, I didn't think about my higher power, I didn't think about what am I supposed to learn from certain lessons, I didn't think about any of that kind of stuff, and I was basically a shell of a human being. It was, honest to God, worse than when I was out there using. It was like I wanted to die, but I didn't know that I wanted to die. And it was like, I just was empty. I was, like, past depressed and sad. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I was, like, without emotion. I just was kind of, you know, like, I had nothing inside of me. And so when I came back in to meetings, my fear is that I don't ever want to go back to that again, okay? That was worse than if I ever pick up. Like, of just, you know, Tanya used to say to me at the time, she'd say, I don't know how you go out, because we were going out a lot. She was like, I don't know how you go out a lot and you don't pick up. And I'd say, I don't even really think about it, Tanya. And, you know, then she'd say, because, you know, I mean, I meet a lot of people that are sober, but they don't work programs. They don't have counselors. And I think, you know, they don't have really any kind, they're not working on themselves at all as people, right? And, like, I didn't get that then. And Tanya would say to me, like, you have, like, no, you know, emotional sobriety, no spiritual foundation. Like, what, like, who are you? Like, inside, I mean, she was scared for me, you know? And I'd be like, you know, and that's why when I called her that day, and I said, will you take me to a meeting? Because I had this nervous breakdown over this stupid list. I don't even know why it was that. She said, I've been praying for 4 years for you to ask me to take you to a meeting, you know? And, so I'm always very miffed when I meet people that are supposed addicts or alcoholics, but they aren't doing anything. And I'm not saying you have to work a 12-step program. I'm saying anything, okay? Counseling or religion or something, right? Like that they have like put in place of this to work on themselves as a human being, because we don't get to the point where we're just stuffing our body with substances to feel better, and then you take that substance away and you automatically just feel better. That's just not the case. It just isn't. There's still an empty void there that we're gonna wanna fill, or we have to actually work through and figure out why it exists to begin with. But you know, at that time, like I wasn't aware of that. Like I didn't know that. And so I was really just this empty shell of a person. But if you had met me, I'm telling you, if you had met me on the street and didn't know me, oh my God, it just went out of focus. If you had met me on the street and didn't know me like Tanya did, I hate when it does this. Hold on a second. I'm trying to trick it. Is it back? There. If you had met me on the street, or if you had met me out and you didn't know me the way that Tanya knew me or the way that my sponsor knew me at the time, you wouldn't have known anything was wrong with me. You would have thought, oh my God, Peter is so much fun and Peter's living his best life, but inside I was dying. I was absolutely dying. I was miserable. I was so miserable. And I was sad. And I felt unfulfilled. And I was in the greatest physical shape of my entire life, and it didn't matter. And I had everything that I wanted, and I didn't care. And I just was miserable. I was literally miserable inside, and like didn't know how to ask for help. I think was scared of admitting that I needed help. And I will say this, it's taught me to reach out to people when they're going through things, because I think like I needed that. Like it was one thing for Tanya to reach out to me, but I think the other thing was too, like I never said I don't need to be in a 12-step program. I never said like I don't need to work on my spiritual foundation or my emotional sobriety. Like I had friends of mine that would just say, yeah, I don't need any of that anymore. Like I never said that. Like I knew I needed that. So there was still like that glimmer of hope left inside of me. And I think that's why when I came back, like I knew, like, Peter, this is life or death for you. Like, I think I really was probably a lot closer to using and losing my life than I had really any idea. You know, Alex had, he doesn't get the addiction piece because he wasn't there when I was using, but he gets it enough to know. Like, my dad has had some very serious conversations with Alex. And my dad is like, when it starts for him, you need to go. Because it's just going to be over at that point. Like, we need to all be gone. Because Peter's going to self-destruct, and he's going to take anybody around him with him. And you need to take the dogs and be gone. So, I'm going to start using, and Alex is going to take the dogs and leave. I'm not going to have him. My dad and my stepmom are going to be out of my life. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, my dad made it very clear to me the last time. He said, the next time you pick up, I'm done. Like, I am done. Okay? I mean, and that didn't mean 6 months from now. That meant 25, 30 years from now, I'm done. Like, you know what you need to do. And I think a lot of people would see that as very, very cruel. I see that as my loved ones setting very clear boundaries with me on what I know and what I should trust. And Alex has made it very clear to me, you ever pick up, I'm gone. I don't need to know what you were like back in the day. I just need to know that it's important enough for you to stay sober today that if you start using again, I'm gone. And I know that, and I'm not willing to, you know, like, lose the people in my life. That doesn't mean that it hasn't crossed my mind and it's easy for me. It's not, by any means. And I've had moments, you know, where I thought, oh, maybe it would be so much easier if I was out there. But then, like, my tape, see, I have this tape in my head now that runs pretty quickly. So, you know, like, it goes from, oh, you know, maybe I could, to look at what your life looks like if you do. And that tape literally takes about 2.5 seconds in my head, whereas 24 and a half years ago, that tape took me maybe an hour in my head. And I mean, I'm being honest, you know, where I would actually play out the scenarios. Today, it's like that quick. It's like, you can't. Like, this isn't, it's not gonna, you know. But I think, like, all of the things that I have between me and my active addiction like my sponsor, my friends in sobriety, my home group, going to other meetings, all of my friends that are sober, my husband knowing, every friend in my life knowing, every one of you knowing, me talking. I mean, do you know what it would be like if tomorrow I started using and like all of that being online? Like, you know, like I haven't thought that through. Like, you know, it's also a safety net for me that I have been so honest about my recovery stories in my vlogs and in every video that I've done, you know? So there's all these things that are between me and picking up, right? Well, if I started getting rid of each one of those one at a time, and all it was me and an empty space between me and my addiction, don't you see how it would be easier to use? And I think that that's what happened to my friends. And it makes me so sad, you know? But I also know that I'm not God and I don't know what's best for them. My old sponsor used to say to me, you know, I'd say things like, I hope they make it back into the rooms. And he'd say, you know, like, that's not your place as God to play that. Like, you don't, maybe that's not what God has planned for them. You know, you don't know. Maybe God has planned for them to find, you know, religion. Or maybe God has planned for them to, you know, I don't know, go and do some service work somewhere that changes their life. Or, you know, get in a relationship. Who knows? Who knows what that person is? Like, you don't know what stop playing God. That's not your place to do that, you know? You can hope that for them to have the best life. You can pray for that. But you don't know how that's supposed to happen. And I think that's really true. And I don't know what's best for somebody else. But I know that what's best for me. And it's not a good thing when I'm out there, you know? I don't even like, you know, it's crazy to me. Like, I had a friend of mine that went back out after 21 years of sobriety, like 21 years of active sobriety, and she went back out, she started smoking pot, and now she's drinking, and I would speculate that she's probably doing a lot of other things, but her Facebook is filled with like just drinking and stuff like that. And I'm like it literally is like Tanya and I were talking about it because she's like a close friend of Tanya's, and Tanya's been heartbroken over it. And it's like literally like you just like stepped back to where you were 21 years ago. Like, it breaks my heart, you know? I honestly can't imagine myself going back to what my life looked like then and kind of picking up where I left off. But I have seen it happen to enough people that I know that it could happen to me. I do know that today. Whereas I think 10 years ago I would have said, oh, that'll never happen to me. I think today I know enough to know that that could actually happen to me, and I need to do whatever I need to do to keep enough things in between it. And that's why I do stay active, and that's why I do keep on going to meetings and doing all that kind of stuff and working on myself, because I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to be my life, you know? I don't want somebody to be worried about me out there. It makes me sad. I pray for my friend I have two very close friends that went back out, and I pray for them every day. I hope they find some peace, you know? By the pictures, I will tell you that their life seems like they're having a lot of fun right now. So I don't know, maybe, you know, maybe they're not alcoholics. Hell, I don't know, you know? It's not mine to decide. I still love them. But anyway, oh my God, you guys, my leg is hurting so bad. I'm almost at the donut shop. Don't be jealous because you're not getting a cream-filled donut. But neither am I. I'm probably getting a sprinkled cake donut. But I am going to be back on program tomorrow for all my haters, just so you can keep a schedule. Okay, so all my haters out there that are wanting to know, oh my God, he's off program. I'll be back on program tomorrow. And if I'm not, it's my life, so you can judge me if you have to. So anyway. And I'm starting the magic book tomorrow too, finally, a week and a half later than I said I would. But better late than never. So anyway, all right, you guys, I am going to get off here now, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful, amazing, I hope you're having an amazing Tuesday, unless you have other plans, but don't. Enjoy your life. Oh my God, my battery's ending. This means it's the perfect time. It's like my battery's flashing. But don't. Have the most amazing Tuesday of your entire life. Don't have other plans unless you have other plans, but don't. Just make the most of it. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. and look in the mirror. Tell yourself how much you love yourself until you believe it. Pass it on. Tell somebody else that you love them as well. It's important that we pass it on. There's a lot of people out there that don't hear it, that need to hear it from us and need to know how important they are to us, you know. Don't wait till somebody's funeral to let them know how important they are to you. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.